This story started long before the initial blast. It was born in the dying embers of a civilization that refused to see its own end until it was too late. Krypton was not just a planet lost among the stars, it was a distorted mirror of our own civilization, reflected with frightening clarity the same mistakes that now threaten our own fragile earthly existence. The story of Krypton wasn't just a legend told in hushed tones by an old wizard, it was a warning echoed across the cosmos, a cautionary tale of pride and stubbornness that made gods weep. When scientist Jor-El, driven by silent despair and painful clarity, launched his only son across the interstellar void toward a small blue planet, he wasn't just saving a life. Within that tiny capsule, crossing galaxies traveled the entire intellectual, cultural, and genetic legacy of a race that stubbornly ignored its own extinction rules. Every formula etched into Kryptonian crystal, every lullaby sung by mothers under a red sun, every tear shed by fathers saying goodbye to children who would never grow up carried within it the echo of an entire civilization that once thrived on the skies of perpetual crimson. Little Kal-El carried in his cells not just Kryptonian DNA, but the lost hope of redemption for people who would no longer exist when he awakened in his new home. The rural landscape of Kansas, with its golden wheat fields under the sun and starry nights, became the crucible where the cosmic child would be born. Jonathan and Martha Kent, with their wise simplicity and hearts as vast as the plains they cultivated, offered much more than a home. They gave Clark the moral foundations that would transform his extraordinary being into an exceptional man. Smallville, between lessons about planting corn and mending fences, young Clark learned that true strength resides not in muscle, but in character. The seemingly simple values of rural life: honesty, straight furrows in the field, hard work like the unfailing harvest, community like the barns raised in joint effort, became the unshakable pillars that would support the man of steel against the most violent winds of destiny. Every birth is a miracle, but few are as miraculous as Clark Joseph Kent. Born under a sky filled with shooting stars, his arrival marked not just the beginning of a life, but the continuation of an entire civilization's legacy. Each sleepless night Martha spent rocking him, each story Jonathan shared under the starry prairie sky, each game of catch that pushed his limits a little further were acts of cosmic continuity, ensuring that Krypton didn't die completely with his son. The discovery of his powers was as painful as it was revealing. Each new ability that emerged, the strength to lift tractors with a finger, hearing that captured screams continents away, eyes that soared through walls, brought with it a new ethical challenge. What would become his greatest weapon was initially a momentous burden. As Clark grew, so did the eternal calm. The calm of Smallville couldn't contain forever the storm that raged within him. Like a bird with wings too large for his cage, Clark longed for a sky that matched his limitless potential. The school bus incident, when young Clark saved his classmates from certain death in the turbulent river waters, was much more than a heroic act. It was his first encounter with the fundamental paradox that would shape his existence. That day taught him that his gift was also his curse, that saving lives would require the constant sacrifice of his own truth, that being a hero would mean, in many moments, being a ghost. The smile of children saved, the applause of townspeople, the gratitude in the eyes of his adoptive parents. All of this paled in comparison to the turmoil in Clark's soul. How could he live a normal life when normality meant denying who he truly was? Jonathan Kent's death severed the last ties to childhood like a scythe cutting ripe wheat. In that moment of powerlessness before nature's blind forces, Clark understood the bitterest lesson. Not even the most powerful man on earth could challenge all of destiny's designs. That paternal sacrifice, that maybe we should have let die echoing in his memory like a painful mantra, became the price of wisdom. It was this void left by loss that drove Clark on his odyssey of self-discovery, wandering years across the world, living among men as one of them, helping in dark corners where no one looked, learning about humanity while hiding his own divine nature. Humanity, with its complexities and contradictions, became both his challenge and his anchor. Amidst the urban jungle, Clark discovered a new kind of strength, the ability to adapt, to change, to learn. He navigated the subway tunnels of Metropolis, traded witty repartee in newsrooms, and confronted human malice in the darkest alleys. These experiences weren't just detours in his life. They were essential parts of his education. Just as a diamond is forged under intense pressure, Clark refined his spirit through adversity. The Fortress of Solitude, hidden in the Arctic's eternal ice, was much more than a sanctuary. It was the mirror that reflected his true faith. Among the Kryptonian crystals singing the glories of a dead world, Clark finally faced his fundamental duality. He was neither the human Clark Kent nor the Kryptonian Kal-El, but something new, something unique, the child of two worlds, the bridge between terrestrial and cosmic. His first flight, that moment of pure transcendence when he broke gravity's bonds, symbolized much more than mastering a new power. It was the full acceptance of his destiny, the definitive embrace of his cosmic mission. Taking to the skies wasn't just about soaring above the clouds, it was about freeing himself from the chains of earthly limitations. With each passing day, he became more Superman, less Clark Kent. His duality didn't fade but found balance. Metropolis, with its skyscrapers challenging the clouds and streets teeming with life in all colors, became the stage where Superman finally revealed himself to the world. By lifting that falling plane with steady hands, he wasn't just demonstrating superhuman strength, he was declaring his principles to the universe. The symbol on his chest, which to some was a stylized S and to others the sign of hope, became the banner of a new era. He was no longer just a boy from Smallville or a mild-mannered reporter from Metropolis. He was Superman, the champion of truth, the guardian of Metropolis, the alien who became Earth's greatest defender. But with every triumph, every life saved, every threat repelled, Superman also accumulated enemies. His victory sparked envy, fear, and even hate. In the shadows of skyscrapers, Lex Luthor watched with calculating eyes, personifying humanity's eternal dilemma. Distrust of the different, fear of altruistic power, the inability to understand that someone could be good without ulterior motives. Superman's true test was never the meteors he stopped, the rivers he diverted, or the villains he faced. His supreme challenge was resisting daily the subtle temptation of absolute power, the seduction to impose his vision of justice, to rule rather than guide, control rather than inspire. The blue suit hid not just Clark Kent's identity, but a profound philosophy. That true power is measured by the capacity for self-limitation. That moral greatness lies as much in what one refuses to do as in what one accomplishes. In an increasingly complex world where individual rights collide, where progress challenges tradition, where technology advances faster than our ethical capabilities, Superman's journey becomes our compass. Each decision he makes daily echoes with profound meaning. Should he intervene in conflicts that don't directly affect humanity? Should he reveal his identity to unite people or maintain his anonymity to preserve their hope? Can he save everyone, or should he prioritize the safety of his loved ones over the call of duty? These aren't just fictional dilemmas. They reflect our own ethical challenges in an era of global connectivity. At the heart of the Superman myth lies a truth that transcends comics and speaks directly to the human condition. Superman isn't important because he can fly faster than a plane, be stronger than a locomotive, or leap tall buildings. His greatness resides in the choices he makes at each dawn. The commitment to compassion, the dedication to justice, the resistance to power's corruption. In an increasingly complex world where our own technological capabilities confront us with unprecedented ethical dilemmas, the Man of Steel reminds us that our humanity isn't measured by what we can do, but by what we choose to do with our power. And so the story continues, not just in the panels of comics, but in our daily lives. Superman's example encourages us to confront our own inner battles, to choose hope over despair, truth over falsehood, and justice over injustice. Because the true essence of the Superman myth isn't just a narrative of a hero with superhuman abilities. It's an epic encapsulating the universal struggle between power and morality, between destiny and free will, between individuality and the collective. Each stage of his life, from Smallville's field to Metropolis' skyscraper, testifies to the power of choice and the importance of using our gifts for the greater good. In a world often overshadowed by darkness, Superman's unwavering light guides us, reminding us that even amidst chaos, hope endures.